Pyro Unleashed presents the Finale3D Tip of the Week, sponsored by Finale Fireworks.
All right, here we are for episode 9. I think Donnie was just a little bit mind blown before we started recording.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be a cool episode. Like, I'm really intrigued. I'm a tower and wheel kind of guy, and so this is definitely going to be, I think, some great useful information that Drew's going to show us here on how to easily create your tower. And then how easy wheels really are, because wheels really aren't that difficult to create. And so, I'm gonna kind of hands off to Drew here and let him kind of toss a wheel in the sky and show us how to drop some seal shots in that thing.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thanks, guys. So we'll leave these positions here for now, and let's just go ahead and drop in a new position, which will represent our wheel. So I'll just come up to positions, add, and choose one position. And it just kind of fell over here on the ground. That's fine. I think it's often the case with wheels that people kind of overthink it. They think like, I need a bunch of different positions facing different ways, or I need my position to be some way other than flat. And the reality is, like, I think the simplest way is just to have a normal position that's facing in its default way, which is sort of flat and with the arrow pointing toward the audience, which you see all of these are. We're the audience here and the arrows are pointing toward us. And just to elevate that position. So there's multiple ways to elevate a position. If I'm looking from the crowd's perspective along the ground and I just click and drag on a position, I grabbed the wrong one, but that drags it up. So that elevates it. So it really can be that easy. If you have a very specific height you want or very specific coordinates, I think it's handy to be able to right click and do edit position properties. So like, for example, if I want this thing dead center, the X coordinate is the left and right, on the shoot site. So if I put 0, that's going to be dead center left to right. This is the Y coordinate, says up. So like these units are in meters. So if I want 35 meters, if I need some amount in feet, I'll have you'd have to convert. You can't enter feet here, but and then this is the amount back, and that back distance is meters, of course, and it's from Origin Man. We talked about Origin Man several episodes ago. So. But, in terms of left and right and up and down, it's kind of simple. So I like to use this, and I like to enter my left, right, up, down, and back, forward coordinate right there.
So is that right position 0 based on Origin Man?
Yeah, so all these coordinates are measured from Origin Man.
Okay.
So what this means is, that's a good question, Donnie. It means that we are perfectly aligned left, right with Origin Man.
Okay.
So in this case, we're behind Origin Man 8 meters.
Yeah. So if your Origin Man isn't the center of your shoot site, you don't want to use 0, maybe, if that's the case.
Yeah. So if your show is not centered around Origin Man or left to right centered around Origin Man, then this isn't that helpful for you.
Yeah.
And in that way, dragging this guy, is going to be easier. Now, keep in mind, if I'm dragging from the top, I'm not moving this up and down. Now I'm I'm dragging along the sort of surface of my screen, right?
Yeah.
My 2D screen. So here's centered on Origin Man and 30 feet behind it, right? If I go to the front and I'm dragging, then I'm kind of moving left and right here, but I'm also moving up and down. Okay. So it just depends on, where you need it to be. There is one other trick that I'll show you for moving positions around and not moving them in multiple axes at once, which is right click, move on axis, which now brings up the 3 arrows for each axis. So now if I grab this arrow, no matter which way I'm looking, no matter where my camera is, up, down, top, left, right, I can move just up and down. I can move just left and right.
Okay.
Move just forward and back. And I'm not fighting, dragging on a 2D screen in a 3D.
Yeah. Very good.
That's cool. That can be really handy, especially when you're trying to, even more so if you're trying to put positions on a model or a building or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to put this back here, and let's check our height. The ruler's not being drawn for the height right now, which isn't helping me much. Yeah, so I can't easily see my height at the moment. So I could come and dial that in from position properties. 50 meters, maybe that's kind of high. So let's go with something like that. So that's it. It's I showed a few different ways, so it took some time there, but it's not that difficult to elevate a position. And we didn't flip the position over or put it on its face like a clock. Like, that's all we got to do. And then we can just shoot some effects from it. And we can use, instead of using angles that avoid going past, negative 90 or 90, we can go all the way around. So for example, these comets have quite a long trajectory height, but you could do something like, if you're not worried about hitting the ground, then of course that doesn't matter. So I could put this in here, and then kind of building on what we did last video or last episode.
Yep.
I could duplicate this into a flight, and let's say I want one every 20 degrees, so I'll have 18 of them. I'm just going to leave this as 10 so you can see what we get here. So that's what we've got now. But check this out. So if we go up to script, angles, make into fan, and instead of normal fan, we choose circle fan, and we do 360. Now Finale automatically spreads them out. So
there you go.
Like this. So notice we start at 0 and we end over here at negative 20, 20 degrees to the left. The reason you wouldn't do normal fan is because when you do normal fan, you get 2 at the same angle, right? So it starts and ends. And ends. You see this first one's shooting straight down. It's going to, forgive me, I scrolled forward there. The last one's also going to fire straight down. So we've used more than one revolution on our circle if we've got a wheel rack or a circle rack, right?
Yeah.
That's why it's really handy, F to fan, 360, and to use circle fan. That automatically spreads it out and accommodates, and it doesn't duplicate that first or last angle, right? So you get
that's cool. That's handy.
That's very helpful, yeah.
Yeah, so there's one revolution. Let's see, put a cool effect here. Let's do some more. So maybe we'll put in some mines, and I'll do duplicate into flights, and we got something like that. And we'll make a sequence out of this. Let's make these. So what I'm doing now is I'm just going. I don't care about sequencing. I don't care about the order. I just want to spread them out. So I'm going to use spread out evenly, and I'll put maybe 0.2, and I'll do that for these guys. H to spread out evenly, 0.2. And then, I got something like this. These ones start from the bottom. Let's fan these again to get them to start from the top. When you use circle fan, it always starts at the top.
Always starts at the top. Okay, that's good. That's good to know.
So now we have both of these kind of starting at the top. But say you wanted to do something cooler where we know this is the first one to shoot. Let me select just this guy here. So let's select these. And let's rotate this like 120 degrees. So now I'm spinning this around like hands on a clock. And now that starts at 120. Right? So if I were to, if I continue to duplicate this, let's do another one here. If we take, we want to drag this guy specifically, right? This guy's at 120.
Yep.
So we'll drag this guy over to 120 this way, and then let's make one more. So I'm just using Control C and Control V, and this one I'm just going to do the fan again to get it to fire from the top.
Yep.
And then let's take a look at it. There it is. And then I'm going to group this, pressing G to group, select these, group, group, group. And then let's go ahead and try making them coincident. So at the same time here, and see what we get. So that looks crazy complex. But if you build it in pieces and you put it together and you know how to use the fan tool, you can get something pretty cool.
Yeah, wow.
And the whole grouping thing keeps it nice and clean. I
can look at this and say, oh, I need 3 circle racks, or 3 wheel racks, right? Of course, this is, again, it's all about knowing your equipment. Like, you're not going to be shooting this if you're, I did 18 shots per revolution because the math is easy. It's 20 degrees per shot, but you got to go with, you definitely got to work from what your gear supports. So,
I've definitely been underutilizing groups. I will say that.
I agree.
So, you can do fanning to create non-symmetrical patterns. Of course, you don't have to do a revolution every time. And, if you wanted, these to be different kinds of effects, of course, you can use the replace function. So you could build this with one effect, and you could come up here and say, I don't know, maybe here's another effect. Maybe we want one of these to be this effect. So I'll just right click. I've selected that group. So I've selected all those guys. And I'll just right click on this and choose replace with this effect.
Yep.
And now, that may be not great in a real show, but get the idea that like you can easily replace effects with other effects, which is a really easy scripting. You don't have to start from scratch. If you've got a pattern you like, you can do that. So we could take this one, for example, and replace it with those guys. The Y key is replace. So select the old stuff, select the new effect, mash the Y key, and it does the replacing. So yeah. So something like that. So wheels really just that easy. Like the addressing part, you got to be a little careful depending on what firing system you're using and modules and making sure the wires are going to reach and all that. But like the artistic part, not that hard if you know how to raise a firing position up in the air and just put some effects on there and fan them and sequence them, and you're good to go.
That's cool.
Wonderful.
So now say I want to build a tower where I'm shooting effects up the side of my tower. So what's the easy way to kind of accomplish that?
Yeah, so let's say the tower, the tower is the tower that's supporting the wheel. So we need something here that goes up to this height, about 45 meters. So the easiest way, I believe, there's multiple ways to make a tower, but one easy way that's good eye candy for video for recording here is to build the tower on the ground and stand it up.
Yeah.
So we'll use these positions to do it. So Donnie, is it okay for 9? You tell me the number of positions you want on the side of the tower.
We got 45 meters. I mean, I could do 9 positions at 5 meters apart, I guess. Like you would need 8 positions, I guess, for that.
Yeah, that's sort of just, we got lucky, but so let's just go ahead and select these 9 positions, which you just did, and then come up here to we could do arrange into a line, or we could do we've already got a line, so we could just do stretch line. Okay. In this case, stretch and compress are the same thing. So we know we want that to be, let's go with 45 meters, and let's see what we get here. So that's something like that.
Okay.
Yep. So think of this as your tower. Think of this as the left side of your tower, but it's laying on the ground right now. Yeah. And so you've built the tower and you just need to erect it so it's standing up. So you can select those positions. And you can, you might, obviously, Donnie, I think you're probably not going to want your first position on the ground, because if we, then the rack's going to be right on the ground on the side of the tower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the first thing we could do is we could raise these up a little bit. So right click on this and we'll use that move on axis tool and we'll just raise them up. So now we've got something like that. That's 14 feet. Go down a little bit. 10 feet. First one's 10 feet off the ground.
Perfect.
Okay.
So then let's go ahead and select these guys, and then let's stand up our tower. So we've raised it off the ground, let's stand it up. So we'll choose rotate. For rotating a position or positions, we're going to rotate all the selected positions. You can rotate around the up vector. The up vector is the direction that an effect shoots off the position without any angle. So that's straight up. Heading is, think of heading like a compass, which way the arrow points. Pitch, think of pitch as like flying a plane forward and back, and roll is left, right. So if we want to stand this thing up sideways, we want to roll all these positions. So if we do that and choose roll, now we've got this dial we can grab. We keep the arrow in here, we're going in larger increments. If we come out here, we've got 5-degree increments. If we come out here, we've got 1-degree increments, right? So that's what the dial is. What we really need is 90, so it's pretty easy in this case. So we'll just go over to snap it into 90, and there we go. Our tower looks like it's a little bit too tall because because of the fact that we've got that first position off the ground, right? So multiple ways to fix that. I would probably do move on axis, and then if I could get to, it looks like it's a little bit, oh, there we go. I can get to that arrow there. Like, Drew, I told you this was really hard. See? I can't quite get to it. We could probably do, let's try move on axis from a higher position. Yeah, that way it's not underground. And then I just got to get myself into a good spot where I can see the arrows there. Try that one more time. Every time you click away, there it is. So yeah, something like that. So Now it's a function of being. Of course, I lowered that guy into the ground there. So we could also. I don't actually know what's going to happen when we do this, but I think if we do stretch, I'm kind of hoping that it doesn't put them flat again. I'm kind of hoping it keeps them vertical like this. Let's try it. So let's bring this out like 125 feet. We don't enter FT, we get meters.
Yep.
Yeah. So it scrunched them together. So that's good.
Nice.
So that's an important distinction. Like if you do arrange into a line and we do 125 feet, not good.
Pops them back on the
Right?
ground.
You get a line on the ground along the left to right x-axis, right? So stretches them where they're at. I knew it did that on the ground. I didn't know if it would do that. Thankfully, it did. So there we go. So that's the left side of our tower. The problem we really have now is that it's not aligned with our wheel. So this is where using move on axis can help. Or we can go ahead and edit position properties. And since we have all 9 of these selected, we're changing the coordinates for all 9. So left and right, we know we want these kind of in the middle. Maybe let's put them 1 meter to the left, or -1 for left. And then we don't want to change that because undefined means these all have different y coordinates. If we put in one number here, they're all going to be at the same height. We want to leave that alone.
Yeah.
And I think this is the same roughly as where our wheel is. So there we go. And then we just hit that, and then it looks like our wheel actually ended up being further back. Let's just move the wheel forward to line up. So there we go. So now you've got the tower, and if we come in real close here, you'll see the wheels right there at the top.
Yep.
So that's the left side of the tower, and it's easy to mix that up. And let me lock the position so we don't accidentally. Let me show you how you can tell. You want to know for sure if your tower is the left side of the tower or the right side of the tower. Just select some positions. I'll just select them all. Position 9 and add an item. The stuff shot to the left, so it must be the left side of the tower, right?
Yeah.
Because the stuff's going to shoot off the positions based on their orientation. So we could. What I like to do now is a little trick where I duplicate these positions. So the wheel's kind of interfering with our ability to click on these easily, but I can shift click and drag these guys. There we go. I can get that one without getting the wheel. Got a lot of smoke going on here, though. Get the smoke out of there. Okay. In our last episode, we duplicated effects by holding the control key. You can duplicate positions by holding the control key too. So if I unlock my positions and I hold control and then click and drag, boom. There I've made, maybe the other side of my tower here without trying nearly as hard. Now, those positions are still shooting to the left. So what I need to do now is go into the properties, and here's where I've got those rolled. They're rolled 90. I just need to enter the opposite, so -90.
-90, okay.
And then boom, now those are to the right. So here's my shooting to the right off my tower, and you will want to make some position shortcuts. So this guy selects all the positions, but if I want to shoot from the right side of the tower, I probably want to make a position shortcut for those. So they're selected. I can just click the plus icon, and now I've got that position group shortcut that allows me to select the right side of the tower. Because it's a nightmare to have to
label that, correct?
I'm sorry?
You can custom name that grouping.
Yeah, you absolutely can. Let me get the left side of the tower here. There we go, and then we'll do that. So yeah, absolutely. So we might do tower left and tower right. You're always going to get lowercase, and you're going to get the @ symbol. It's just how they work. Now you got tower left and tower right, and of course you can rename these as well. So we could do. I've got them all selected on the right, so I can do rename, and maybe I'll just put TR and let Finale sort it out. There it is, TR1 through TR9.
Yeah.
And on the left, I'll go ahead and select all of them, rename tower left, and now they're all tower left 1 through 9. And they're not perfectly aligned, but you could tinker with it and you could get them lined up. And for the top here, I'll right click. Actually, I want to make sure I'm only selecting the top one. Right click, rename, and then we'll call this wheel. And there you go. So now you've got tower left. Boom. Make it more interesting.
Yeah. Is there a way to hide those position labels so they don't clutter up the middle of the screen?
These?
No, in the middle where your positions actually are.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm glad you asked, because there's no way. I thought you meant this, and the answer is no. But that's not what you want. The answer is yes. So absolutely. So positions, options, show position names.
Oh,
On by default,
nice.
turn that off,
Yeah.
and there we go.
Very good.
Yeah.
It does that. It does turn them off for all the position names in your show, not
Okay.
just the tower and the wheel, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
Now, do we want to try and get into how to insert a graphic of a tower into?
I don't
the
have
show?
I don't have a generally the way I would do this, and I would encourage anyone who's interested. The Pyro Jam competition this year that just ended this weekend has towers and a wheel in it. And the way I did that is I just went on to the 3D warehouse, Google, it's not formerly Google, SketchUp 3D warehouse.
Yeah.
And I grabbed a model of a truss, and it was like a 10-foot truss stick. And I brought it in, and I brought in another one and put it on top of that one and built it up the way you would build, connecting truss sticks in real life. So if you have the pro version of Finale3D, you can do that. And it gives it that look, and it's worth the time. If it can be just give you a good look, but it also affects performance. So like if you don't need that model in there, and in the case of truss, like you're not really going to see it. It's not impactful in the way that a stadium or another building is.
Yeah.
You do take a performance hit by having those models with those polygons in the software.
Okay.
So, if you want a really polished look, or you want to show a client, or you're up close to the truss because you're doing something on a stage, you're doing a waterfall or something. But for a PGI style show with towers, or something like Sky Wars, where everything's pretty far away and it's going to be pretty far away in your view, it might not be worth the effort, but it's definitely possible. I don't know if I have a model on hand that I can show.
That's just fine. That's all right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right.
Well, Donnie, there you go. Maybe that's a game changer for you in terms of being able to make towers a little more easily, at least.
Yeah. David, is this how you create a tower when you did a CulverCon show?
Not at all. Dragged each one individually.
Yeah, so I would not discourage you from doing positions individually. What I would, and then sometimes that's necessary. I think a trick that you can use, though, is instead of dragging and dropping individually, try editing each position's coordinates. So if you're just trying to put them vertically above each other, they should have the same X, because that's left and right, the same Z, that's forward and back. And it's just a matter of incrementing. Yeah, I know it's in meters. I understand that's not what everybody wants in the United States. But if you just figure out your spacing in meters, then you could just punch in, get yourself a little Excel sheet or a calculator, figure out the values you want, and then just punch them in. And that can be a lot less frustrating than trying to drag positions, because dragging them is hard, and you're never going to get them perfectly lined. It's hard to get them perfectly lined up, even if you use the move on axis thing, and that can help. But as you guys saw, there's still that still has a little bit of, it's still a little tricky,
Yeah,
absolutely,
most definitely.
Absolutely. All right, so another fantastic little tip here.
Yeah, wonderful.
Love this stuff.
As always, be sure to go check out our website at pyrounleashedpodcast.com. Again, grab yourself some merch, jump over in Discord, come hang out with us.
Chat it up, man. Yeah, ask questions for our guests, all that kind of stuff. Have a good time.
Yeah.
Again, we'll be seeing these probably at this point pretty close to every Friday here as we kind of head towards the end of the season. Yeah. And as always, Wednesdays, some fantastic episodes on Wednesday with all of our guests we got lined up in the second half of the season. So, in the meantime, till we see you at the next episode, go out there and unleash your inner pyro with us.
This has been another episode of Pyro Unleashed. Come back each week for more industry insights, technical tips, and awesome pyro designs. Have fun out there, be safe, and as always, remember to unleash your inner pyro with us.